Hello everybody! In this video I'm going to show you an easy way to save and load data in Unity. We will use Json and Base64 encoding for this. I have created a small project here, let me start it. Relatively simple game. The user just swipes in the y direction of this ball. Whenever the direction is correct, then the ball is destroyed. And occasionally the amount of stars here is increased. Whenever the swipe was done in the wrong direction, then the lives counter will be decreased here. Whenever counter reaches 0, the game stops and the level starts again from the beginning. We will save the amount of stars collected and amount of incorrect swipes done into two separate files, which will look like this. You see, Base64, non-human readable, pretty cool. So let's dive in. Yeah, let's start with saving of results. I have prepared the project already here. I will not go too deep into that. In short, we will have a ball controller script which will keep track of the stars that have been earned and all the incorrect swipes that have been done. That will spawn a new piece whenever needed. It will check if the swipe was correct, and eventually it will fail the level here. This is the place we want to save the results here. And let's start with the data model. So we will have two scripts here. The first one, let's call it result data. And the second one, let's call it stars data. Those two classes, those two scripts will represent the result data and the stars data that we want to save. In result data, we want to save the amount of incorrect swipes. So let's have one integer field, let's call it incorrect swipes. In stars data, we want to have an integer field that will keep track of all the stars that were collected. So let's call it stars collected. Now let's switch back to Unity and create yet another script. Let's call it data handler. This script will handle all the saving and loading of the data. Let's put it at the game zone object and let's open it. This script will save the data. So let's have one public void method which will save the data. Save data. So remember, we want to save incorrect swipes and collected stars. So this method should accept two integers. One is incorrect swipes and another one stars collected. Stars collected. Let's go ahead and use it directly in the ball controller so we don't need to think about this anymore. Let's first find this data handler in the startup method. Let's use simple find object of type here. And I want to save the amount of stars and incorrect swipes here whenever level fails. So let's do this. So now the groundwork has been done and we can go ahead and start the implementation of saving mechanism. First of all, let's create a couple of variables on top. First one will be string variable which will represent the result file name. Let's call it just.dat. And also we need the path to the file. Let's call it result file path. Let's resolve a result file path on awake. You can resolve it using input-output path technique. We should combine the application persistent data file path with the result file name. We'll outprint this variable just to make sure you know where the result file is actually located on your machine. Then we should make sure that the file exists, and if file doesn't exist, we should create it. For this we will use fileExist method, which accepts the file path, and if file doesn't exist, we will create a new one. Create new results file. Let's create this method now. Okay, cool. We have a template here. We will fill it up a little bit later. Let's now go ahead and implement the saving of files. For this, let's create another method. Let's call it save file. We will use this method in both save data and create new result file methods. What we want to save is JSON, right? So in order to save a new file, we will use again file from input output, and from here we will use write all text method. This method accepts two parameters. First is path and the second one is content. Since now we are saving the result file, we will provide the result file path here. And what is the content? Well, let's provide the content here. Now we want to save result data, so it will be result data. Let's call it data. But we want not the data, but the actually string. So how do we convert data model into string? For this we will use JSON utility class. JSON utility to JSON method. The next step is to use this method here, and we want to save a new result data. Let's, for simplicity purposes, just save the incorrect swipes like that for now. And we also want to create a new result data here. So let's also save file here with new result data. So now it's done. Let's go back to Unity, hit the play button, switch to console. Here you can see where the file is saved. Let's open this location. I have it here already. If you look into file, you will see a JSON structure showing that incorrect swipe is 0. Now let's switch back to Unity and play a bit to have some incorrect swipes there. So we swipe to the black direction, and the lives count has been reset to 3. That means that the game is over. Let's now again open this file. And you can see that the incorrect swipes is 3 here. Now let's extend our saving mechanism to save stars count as well, which is propagated here with this variable stars collected. So what we want to do, we want to save another file, but with new stars, right? New stars data, which will have stars collected inside. Equals to stars collected. But obviously save file method will not compile with stars data here because it expects result data, but this is easily fixable if we just choose object instead of stars data. Also we will want to create a new stars data here, so let's have another check here. If file doesn't exist, yeah, but for this we also first need to create a stars file. Let's call it stars. I have another variable here for that. Stars file path, which we will combine exactly the same way using just the stars file here. And now let's check if this file does not exist. We will create new stars file. Create this method, which will do exactly this one, but with the stars data instead. So now save file method was extended with the new data model, but not with the path to this data model. Let's go ahead and fix it here. Let's provide the path here to here. For result data, we want to have a result data path, and here as well. And for stars data, we want to have stars file path. Let's provide it here. Okay, now it's all done. Let's switch back to Unity and see how it works. You can see stars count here is 0. Let's swipe a bit. Now it's 1. Now it's 2. Let's now fail the level. And check the results here. Stars collected 2. Result incorrect swipe 3. Well done. But as you might have already noticed, there is a major flaw in this implementation. We don't check for the previous incorrect swipes and stars collected, and we always override it, which is obviously not correct. We will fix it in the next part. Alright, now let's extend our data handler script with the new generic method, which will load the data from the given path. If you are not familiar with generics, please find the link under the video. In this method, we will also use JSON utility class that you know already, and we will use the second method here from JSON, which also accepts generics here. And here we need to provide the file and read the whole text from this file. And this is something we will return from this method. And now let's create two other methods to read our data. First one is result data. Let's call it load result data, which will return load data result data. And here we will provide result data path. And let's do the same for stars data. Stars data load stars data. And here we will return load data with stars data model and stars file path. Awesome. Now let's fix our little flaw here. So what we want to do, we want first to load the result data here and change the result data incorrect swipes with the new incorrect swipes that were passed to this method, and do the same with the stars data. Also change the amount of stars collected here. And we want to save this new model here and result data here. Awesome. Let's go back to Unity and see that in action. Do some swipes, collect some stars. 3, 4 should be enough. And now let's check out the files. So stars collected 5, incorrect swipes 9. Now we are all set. We can read the file, we can save the file. Let's go ahead and implement Base64 encoding to make this file non-human readable. Base64 is supported out of the box in Unity, but it's very important to understand that Base64 is not an encryption, it is encoding. That means that you should not use it for sensitive information like usernames or passwords, because it is easily decodable online. With that said, let's go ahead and implement that. First of all, you should delete all the files that you have saved before, those rest date and start date. So to use Base64, we need to convert the save data into Base64 format and then to read it from Base64 format. To do so, we will need to change only two methods here, save file and load data. Let's start with save file. In order to save file in Base64, we will use the convert class from a system package, which has two nice utility methods. One is called toBase64string, another one from Base64string. Since we are doing a save here, we will do toBase64string, which accepts an array. In order to get an array here, we will use encoding df get bytes. This is how we convert our JSON data into the array of bytes. In order to load it, we need to convert it from Base64, and to convert it to string, we will also use encoding utf get string from the bytes. Now let's switch back to Unity and see how it works. Press play. Let's collect some stars. Should be enough. Let's check out our files here. Very cool. Base64, no one can read it, no one can change it on the device. Well done.